Hello everyone, this is just a quick impressions video about my hands-on time with Dune Awakening, the upcoming MMO developed by Conan Exile's veterans Funcom. It's due for release on June the 10th, which was pushed back from its original May release date. This weekend, Funcom held its massive beta event that allowed tens of thousands of players to try out the game, offering up around 20 to 25 hours of story content, along with many of the game's other features. If you were of course lucky enough to have that amount of time over the weekend, which for me was no fucking chance. However, I did manage to get some hands-on time, so here are my thoughts. I'm not going to go into massive story detail here. Essentially, what we have is a parallel universe now that sits separate to the one that's in the books and the movies. The narrative choices that Funcom have made allow them to have fun with the pre-existing lore, without hopefully pissing off existing fans. But how does the game actually play? So first and foremost, Dune is described predominantly as a survival game. It is an MMO, so that does mean that you're going to come across other human players. But in my experience, I haven't had many interactions with other players. Some will absolutely love that, especially when you don't want to come up against people with usernames like SandyCrack69. Others might miss that randomness of partying up with people. This isn't to say that the option isn't there, but so far I've not personally experienced that side of things. I've seen other players come across plenty of their buildings and bases, but I've not yet had a proper interaction, unless you can call watching with glee from a distance whilst a sandworm chased and ate one who thought they could outrun it on the open sand. Speaking of bases, so yes, it is a survival game. That means resource gathering, resource refining, inventory management, base building, vehicle tinkering and more. The crafting system's actually quite deep, and I almost felt a bit overwhelmed with it at the start. Early game, you're scrounging the ground looking for flora to drink the dew off of flowers purely to stay hydrated. Later, you're harvesting people's blood to extract the water from that. As I mentioned, there's a lot thrown at you in the first opening hours of the game. Thankfully, the tutorial's really good at getting you around the fundamentals, even if it is verging on a little bit of hand-holding to start with. That being said, they've got to cater for many different playstyles, and people who might be coming into this game new to the survival genre, who might just be keen on trying a new MMO or game set in the Duneverse. And frankly, what a universe it is. Funcom have done an absolutely outstanding job nailing the look and feel of Arrakis. I personally love it. It's so vast, detailed, but also completely desolate and hostile at the same time. Just the way it should be. What is it somebody said about sand?
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Thank you, Anakin. But yeah, sand literally is everywhere. However, in Dune, it's whipped up in the wind, it's scattered into massive clouds when a sandworm breaches the surface of its own grainy ocean, and then massive sandstorms will randomly form, leaving you scarpering for cover. At night, the Sardaukar, that's the Imperial military for the uninitiated, are patrolling the skies in ships with searchlights to the surface. If you're caught, they send in troops, which isn't great. The one time I was actually caught and eaten by a sandworm was due to the fact that I'd been caught in the Sardaukar's tractor beam type trap. I couldn't move, and then before I knew it, a sandworm was on my ass, and there was no outrunning it.
Well, why don't we just make a run for it? We outran him yesterday.
Run for it? Running's not a plan. Now, running's what you do when the plan fails. Valentine, you're not even trying to think of a plan.
Well, it ain't like...
On the topic of sandworms, I cannot stress this enough. Do not die to them. They're like a really mean ex-wife. They take everything from you, including the clothes off your back. Genuinely though, stash as much stuff in your base as you can, because you never know when you might wake up naked in a desert. If it's not the military or sandworms that are trying to kill you, during the day, the sun itself is a bastard. Not like Super Mario Bros. 3 levels a bastard, but enough of a hazard for you to be kept on your toes. Stay in the sun for too long and you'll get sunstroke, which debuffs your stamina. If you ever wanted to spend a day in the life of a ginger, then this is your chance. On top of the excellent visuals, this is all accompanied by an excellent sound design. Shots echo in the distance, the growl of the worms is ever present, and there's a really decent ambient score as well. All in all, it's really spot on. One area I'm really loving is the transversal. You can scale just about any wall. You're like a tiny little spider sandman. In my experience, it works really well. There's some clipping and jank here and there, but it works really well and adds a real layer of verticality to the map. The map itself is really well detailed, plenty of points of interest, crashed ships to explore, scavenger bases to raid for resources and XP farming. There's also caves further on that I've never got anywhere near, which has some dungeon based stuff as well. Which brings me on to combat. So going into this, I'd heard many mixed remarks about the combat. And for sure, yeah, if you come into this with the wrong ideas, then it is going to frustrate you. This is not a third person shooter, nor is it a melee brawler. So don't come into this with the expectations of Division but with cool knives. Unlike other older school MMOs, the combat isn't passive either, so there's no auto attacks that I've found so far. I've had some really decent firefights though with some bandits and scav camps. I've utilised my character's abilities. Some fights I've won because of a bit of jank, other fights I've lost. It is what it is. So far it's not game-breakingly bad. I would say it's serviceable, I haven't hated it, and the more stuff you unlock, the better it'll get. And with all MMOs, things like that evolve over time, so the chances are combat will be cleaned up as we move closer to launch, but also post-launch as well. In terms of performance, the game runs in Unreal Engine 5, so looks absolutely fantastic. Frame rate drops wise, there was only a few, especially during the Sandworm encounters. Overall, it was pretty stable. I had 0 crashes, nothing game-breaking happened that hampered my progress, and overall I was really happy with it. There was a couple of UI errors here and there, but some of those have already been noted. So overall, really positive. I've not managed to sample any of the end-game stuff, which I'm being told is very PvP focused. This can be off-putting to some. The good news is that there is PvE quests and resource gathering quests that still allow you to contribute to your faction. It seems like you don't have to get involved in the PvP, but that all remains to be seen. Seemingly, the game takes around about 80 hours to reach that end game content. All in all then, from what I've managed to play, I'm really optimistic. It's definitely going to scratch that MMO itch that I've had. If I was to compare this to any other games, it's a bit of a mix of the MMO New World, sprinkled in with some No Man's Sky or Elite Dangerous that's set in a well-established universe. Funcom have done an absolutely fantastic job realising their vision of Arrakis, which has been so well done. I cannot wait to jump back in and explore more of it. Dune Awakening launches on the 10th of June via Steam, or you can access it on June the 5th by picking up the Deluxe Edition. PlayStation and Xbox versions are due to follow, likely by the tail end of next year sometime according to the developers. Thanks very much for watching, until next time.